Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back with you for what is our final session for spring semester as we update you about things going on campus and provide you information about the state of COVID at UVM and across Vermont. And as we begin, and I'll mention this several times, I can't thank you all enough for participating with us through these sessions and partnering with the university as we've worked through these last several months. Next slide, please. Let me highlight to you tonight what we're going to cover. And of course, we will leave a lot of time at the end for your questions and answers, because we know that's a real important time for you to learn specifically for you. We got a bunch of people that will be answering questions in the chat, and towards the latter part of this, we'll be opening it up so you can post your questions, but we're going to try to get through as much of that as possible. Recognize that, depending on, how many people join us, and we have almost 400 people tonight, that it may be difficult to get through all the questions, but we will take those content questions and we will shape web pages and other information that we send out there. As always, we want to begin with a kind of current state of COVID at UVM and in the area, and just provide you some update on some numbers. Then we want to talk about an important event that's coming up very soon, only about 4 weeks from now, which is housing and move out. Coupled with that is a very important period of time, which is the final 4 or 5 weeks of the semester. As we finish our classes, we had another one of those important respite days today, but then as we prepare for final exams. And then something that we know has been very important to everybody is the well-being of all of those involved, faculty, staff, and students. And we just want to offer you a few tips, both for the balance of this semester and throughout the summer. And then we want to begin to talk about what fall is going to look like and give you some plans for that. So one of the things that's moving to the next slide, one of the great things that we've been doing is trying to get the message out on campus to our students about COVID-19. We've got a great group of people who've developed these really engaging signs across campus. And we just use that theme of like, get out, get fresh air 6 feet apart, get out and enjoy some of the wonderful things that Burlington and Vermont has to offer. Next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Pavla. I'm the Director of Medical Services in the Center for Health and Wellbeing, and I get to provide you with our COVID context. So I'm going to walk you through the results of our COVID testing so far this semester. First off, overall, the trends in our positive cases from the start of the semester on February 1st through the week of April 15th have mirrored the trends in positive cases in the state, but on a much smaller scale, thankfully. Compared to last semester, spring semester started off with a higher number of cases, and this reflected the prevalence of COVID cases in the US and Vermont at the time. And by the third week of the semester, we started seeing increasing numbers of cases. And we learned that through modeling that the variant B117 was predicted to be the predominant strain of the virus in Vermont by mid-March. So knowing that this strain is 40 to 50% more transmissible, we prepared ourselves by increasing our on-campus isolation quarantine capacity and increasing our number of contact tracers. And then lo and behold, from mid-February to mid-March, we saw a 50% increase in positive cases. And through whole genomic sequencing by the Department of Health, we got confirmation that the B117 variant was in Burlington. So most of the students testing positive this semester, different than last semester, had mild to moderate symptoms, but a few were pretty sick. And thankfully, no students this semester have been hospitalized. Unfortunately, how someone's body will respond to SARS-CoV-2 infection is unpredictable. You just don't know if you, your roommate, your friend, or your family member is going to get really sick or may be someone who even develops long COVID. So let me tell you a little bit about long COVID. Long COVID can happen to anyone who has had COVID-19, even if the illness itself was mild or there were no symptoms. We even have some students suffering with long COVID. People with long COVID have reported experiencing different combinations of persistent symptoms like tiredness or fatigue, headache, loss of taste or smell that we know is associated with COVID, dizziness on standing, and chest pain and palpitations, difficulty breathing or shortness of breath, cough, brain fog, that's difficulty thinking or concentrating, joint or muscle pain, depression or anxiety, fever, and some of the symptoms get worse after physical or mental activities. Symptoms of long COVID can start weeks after the initial infection and can last for weeks or months. Clearly, these symptoms can negatively impact academic performance and quality of life. So until our population is vaccinated, do everything you can to avoid getting COVID and possibly transmitting it to someone else. Keep incorporating the guidelines in the Green and Gold Promise into your daily life. Wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, keep your social circles small and avoid crowded spaces, wash or sanitize your hands often, and stay home if you're sick. These are all tried and true public health measures that work. Next slide so I can give you some good news. I was going to say positive news, but that word has taken on so many meanings these days, so I've just said good. To help us identify positive cases earlier, we asked students to get tested twice a week, and they have done an exceptional job. UVM conducted over 156,000 tests between April 5th and 12th, and that's roughly 1/3 of the state's total tests for that week. Testing twice a week has allowed us to identify students with COVID earlier and get them into isolation quickly. And through contact tracing, we get their close contacts into quarantine sooner. And last week, 60% of our new cases were already in quarantine at the time they tested positive, meaning they didn't have the chance to expose others to the virus. Our numbers of positive cases are starting to trend downward, and only 59 out of the 156,000 tests were positive. That's a 0.3% positivity rate. Excellent. And it shows just how seriously so many UVM students are taking this pandemic and the Green and Gold Promise. We all thank you for your determination to keep the UVM community safe. Let's keep it up. It is up to us, and I know we can do it. Right, Gary?
So Michelle highlighted the case counts and indicated that things have been dropping, and we're very encouraged by that and hope that that will continue. I know something that's very important to all of you is getting vaccinated, and I really encourage you that when that time comes, you take advantages of getting vaccinated. Beginning next week, and I really want to stress this, beginning Monday the 19th, anyone age 16 and older, including Vermont residents and those students who are staying in Vermont this summer, can sign up to get vaccinated. The registration process takes a few minutes, and you can go online tonight and you can register. So once those slots open up on Monday, you can sign up as quickly as possible. There are a number of sites in the Burlington area, including several of the pharmacies, several of the stores like Costco, also are doing vaccines. So there's more than just the state-run facilities. There's a lot of local facilities in the area that you can sign up for. We're hoping, and that maybe as early as tomorrow, we'll learn that Vermont college students without a state address can register beginning April 30th to sign up for vaccines on the 30th. So again, if you think you're going to get vaccinated in Vermont, I would really encourage you to register, stay tuned to the dates that are up there, and sign up as quickly as you can once they sign up. I know that people that beginning this week, the age 30 plus were able to start signing up for vaccines, and many of them were able to get their first dose this week. So I know that the availability and appointments are there in Vermont. So stay tuned, keep an eye on that, and move as quickly as possible. Needless to say, I would have hoped that we could have included all UVM students in that, but the distribution process has been managed by the state, and they've set an age-based approach to registration. And I know many parents and students are concerned about this, but I have to say that the results have been impressive in the state of Vermont. They targeted older populations with the intent of decreasing serious illness, hospitality, and deaths, and that has proven to be the right case. And it's been a fast process, but I know we all want it sooner than what we can. Last week, Governor Phil Scott, who's done an exceptional job leading our state through this pandemic, announced his Vermont Forward program with a plan to reopen the state of Vermont and UVM effective July 1, 2021. There's several measures that we need to meet, and it's a 3-step process, and you can see that on the screen. That's going to be based on the amount of people that have received their first doses. So it's really critical, if you are eligible to get vaccinated, to sign up and get that. A lot of people have asked if you live in a neighboring state, or you're able to drive to a neighboring state that allows vaccinations for this age group, are you allowed to do that? Yes, you can. The state does describe travel out of state for vaccines as essential travel, therefore it's allowed. I would be mindful, if you spend a lot of time out of state, that you need to be aware of the new quarantine restrictions. Obviously, the decision this week to pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is concerning. It may delay some of the availability, but we hope that that issue will be resolved shortly. Next slide. I know you've heard me say this a lot, but the next few weeks are going to be very critical. This is the time when people feel a need to want to let go a little more than what they should, take risks that they shouldn't. And as Michelle mentioned earlier, that important 3 steps of mask on faces, 6-foot spaces, and avoiding close spaces is so very important right now. What we want to do is to continue to reduce the spread of the virus and continue to reduce the threat of the mutation of the virus that might turn into forms of the virus that is not being addressed by the vaccines we have right now. The end is in sight, but the next few weeks are critical. I know a lot of you have heard about and read about large gatherings like the one on North Beach that was very concerning to all of us. And while we appreciate that it was a time to let go and the weather was spectacular, these events are very risky to us. And those type of gatherings, unmasked, physically close, are very worrying and very concerning. And the best I can say is we're so close, stick with it, we're there. So the stakes are high and contact value violations are cumulative. So right now, let's not risk the end of this semester. Another question a lot of people have raised is, why is it that Vermont allows household gatherings and UVM doesn't allow household gatherings or mixings of 2 rooms or 2 apartments at this time? It's important to note that the Vermont guidance allows us to supersede the state guidelines. And we regularly check all of our guidelines and make adjustments where necessary. But we have felt, and as you saw the numbers earlier, they just did not warrant an adjustment in there, because in addition to large gatherings, what we also saw were a lot of the spreading situations were in apartments, in rooms on campus. So needing to continue those more stricter guidelines were important. We're really excited that the weather's gotten better out in Vermont right now. People can be outside more and people can gather in safe ways. Turn to the next slide. And this is a theme we've used, and I really want to encourage everybody for the balance of this semester to keep it up, cats. It's up to us, it's up to all of us to get us to this finish line and to return to the fall, to the UVM that we all know, love, and can't wait to be back to.
Thanks, Gary. Good evening. My name is Erica Calero, and I'm the Interim Vice Provost for Student Affairs. On these next few slides, I'll review the move out process, because in about a month, students living on campus will start moving home. Next slide, please. So first, you need to plan ahead for moving out. Students aren't assigned a specific move out time at the end of the semester. Students do need to leave 24 hours after their last final exam, and the halls close once and for all on Wednesday, May 19th at noon. During the move out process in its entirety, we will adhere to state guidance, and that prohibits families and other helpers from entering the residence halls. We have a really good website with advice on moving out, and that link will be placed in the chat for you to click on this evening. Next slide, please. The checkout process is worth a minute of our time. It's simple, but I want to draw your attention to a couple of pieces. So first, there's going to be a form taped to each and every room door in all of our residence halls with simple reminders. Things like close and lock your windows, set the heat at 65 degrees. Also, really important for keys to be returned. They must be returned. And there are drop boxes and Res Life staff who can receive them. If you've left already, your key can be mailed back to us. And a last few reminders on this slide. Don't leave your bike on campus for the summer. We will take care of forwarding your mail to the permanent address you've listed in the system, and you can go into your My UVM portal anytime and change that if you have a different permanent address or if you'll be somewhere different this summer and you'd like to have your mail forwarded there. Remember also that everything borrowed or rented needs to be returned before you leave. The exception is micro fridges and safety rails. Those can stay in your room. Next slide, please. Now, if you are staying late because you're a graduating senior, you're an RA, etc., you can request a late stay. And we have emergency housing during the summer. If you're an international student or if you're experiencing housing insecurity, there's a form at housing.uvm.edu to apply for emergency summer housing. Gary, over to you to talk us through off-campus housing.
Thank you very much, Erica. I want to give you some pointers for those of you that live off campus and provide some information for you. So next slide, please. Our annual spring move out project, what's commonly known as SMOP, and this year COVID-19 SMOP event, is a real community-based event that we find is very effective to help with our students, but also for the Burlington community. Events will be held on May 21st on Loomis Street and May 25th on Buell Street. Trash only can be dropped off there and no fees will be charged. Students must bring their IDs to participate this, and you'll be getting more information about this. Will be coming out in the Off-Campus Life newsletter and in door-to-door flyers that will be posted around the neighborhoods. We have a lot of resources if you're staying in Burlington available for you. Things like, next slide please, renting. There's the information on the off-campus housing database. You can email the Office of Community Relations for an off-campus housing resource sheet. The Office of Student and Community Relations number and email is there. UVM Off-Campus Living Guide is a link there. The Vermont tenants information is there, and information for Vermont tenants renting in Vermont. And all this information will be available on the Oscar website, but also following this presentation in the chat as well too. The off-campus newsletter, if you're off campus and you have not been receiving this newsletter, again, there's an email that you can send requests to. And the newsletter has updates on resources and great things to do on and off campus and topical items like, what about security deposits?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jay Dickinson. I am the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs and Student Success. And I have to say, I love this photograph because this is what campus has been looking like recently. We've had some amazing weather, and just walking across campus and seeing students relaxing in hammocks or reading a book on a bench or playing a game out on the grass has been really wonderful. I think it's lifted everyone's spirits. So I'm just going to take you through a few points and pointers for the end of the semester, and also already starting to think about how to make the most of your summer and get ready for next fall. So if I could have the next slide, please. So first up, as you know, we'll be getting ready for final exams starting on May 13th. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone remembers to check the final exam schedule, make sure you know when all of your exams are, and to make sure you know whether they're in person, whether they're remote. Check your syllabus, make sure that you understand where each and when each final exam will take place and be due. If you are a student who has an accommodation to use the exam proctoring center, please make sure that you start scheduling those exams now. It's always tight towards the end of the semester, and since you know when your exams are going to be, now is the time to get those scheduled to ensure that there's much less stress about getting that done later on. Also, I'm going to recommend that you really spread your studying out. You can start studying early, plan time for this, make sure that you take breaks this has been demonstrated. Cramming the night before is not the most successful way to prepare. So make sure that you're paying attention to your needs, what your body needs, what your mind needs, and also to reach out if you feel like you need some help. Academic support is available through a range of services on campus. The tutoring center has tutors available, and also for certain classes, things like supplemental instruction that will help you review material. Your professors are a great resource. Take advantage of their office hours. If they provide a study guide, make sure that you understand how they expect you to use that, and they can also help you understand the best way to prepare for their exams and to do your best work possible in their class. The Undergraduate Writing Center is a resource that's available. They have plenty of appointments, and all of their services are available online, which is also true of the Tutoring Center. And finally, don't forget that your student services and dean's office have resources available to help you. If you have questions about remaining in a class, withdrawing from a class, questions about your schedule, you can turn to your academic advisor, and also take advantage of drop-in hours or email and remote services from your student services office. Next slide, please. I also want to mention a few things about commencement. We do have a separate Teams Live event coming up on Tuesday, April 27th at 7 p.m. that will specifically focus on commencement, and that's for families and graduates. So please tune in for that if you have specific questions, but almost everything that you need to know about commencement is available on the commencement website. That's uvm.edu/commencement. And over the next few weeks, they'll keep updating that website to make sure that information about that event is current. And you may also receive some information from your department or program about a smaller virtual or in-person event that they may be planning to congratulate you. And we expect those to occur in early May. Next slide. Finally, I want to say a few words about making the most of summer. First of all, we do encourage all of our students to get vaccinated. If you're not able to get vaccinated before you finish out the semester, then please take an opportunity to schedule an appointment wherever you are this summer. Most importantly, we know this has been a really tough year. We hope that you will take time to relax, to refresh, and to reconnect with the people that you love the most. Some of you may be looking for summer jobs. I think that's great. You know, many of us need to work for financial reasons, but it's also a chance to develop skills that you will need to meet your own goals. And those might be skills of getting to know new people, skills of time management. It doesn't need to be the best summer job ever, but it can be a great way to refresh yourself after a year that has been very academically focused. Some of you will be looking for internships. If you haven't found one yet, please take advantage of the Career Center website. It has a lot of tips and information, as well as services that may help you find the right internship for you. If you'd like to take a summer class, you can see which ones are available that might help you catch up or even get ahead on the requirements for your degree. Some students that are ending this year with incompletes, that's always true. This is a great opportunity to connect with the faculty that are helping you with those incompletes and make a plan for how you could use some of your time this summer to wrap up that work and finish that class strong. You can also take some time, and this is a great thing for you to do to reflect on your own, but also talk to family about. Think about how you imagine your fall semester. How do you want your broader campus experience to be like? What activities would you like to get involved in? Are you on the right academic path? Would you like to talk to someone about perhaps changing majors or focusing in on the career path that you've really decided you're most interested in? Those are great activities to do over the summer. And also, we ask that you anticipate your transition back and begin towards the end of that summer to re-engage with your UVM campus experience. We know that it's going to be different to come back to a fully in-person semester, and we know that everyone's excited for that. But it's okay if you also have a little bit of concern about what that will be like. And to talk a little bit more about that, I'm going to turn it over to our next speaker. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Paul Grogan. I'm with the Center for Health and Wellbeing, and I work with our teams that do health education and outreach and counseling and psychiatry services. And it's good to be with you this evening. So, as we think about the end of this semester, I'm going to go back to the real core basics, just to briefly remind you about how to take care of yourself for the remainder of this semester. And on this slide are the things that we tell students every year that we know will best support your overall health, your mental well-being, and really support you towards reaching those academic goals that you set for yourself in these remaining few weeks. And so, most importantly, and the key sense here is taking good care of your body. And by this, I mean, eat good food. This is not the time to be living off a vending machine or skipping meals. As Jay said, we want you to be taking study breaks. The science tells us that concentration and our ability to retain information fades after about an hour without a break. So 5 minutes can go a long way here. It is important to be getting sleep. Getting the right amount of sleep for you and your body is critical to helping your brain absorb information and recalling information. It also improves your mood. Don't skip that exercise. Even just walking reduces stress, as will time outdoors and time spent with friends. I know that time is critical in that finals period, and that studying and academic work are important, but I can promise you, you'll feel better, and you'll likely do better if you have some balance of these things as you manage your time. Next slide, please. So with my counselor hat on, I really want to first say, check your expectations about the end results for yourself for this semester. And by that, I mean, prepare to be gentle with yourself. It has been a rough road, and the grades you receive may not reflect the energy and effort you put forth in the way that they typically do. I know this can be challenging to accept, but I do want to normalize what you may experience at the end of the semester. I'd also encourage you to think, as Jay said, about how you're going to make this transition, whether it's going back home or moving off campus. This challenging and complex academic year is about to be over, but the pandemic is not quite over. And I want to encourage you to think about how you're going to make sense of this and process this part of your college experience. Think about what you will need and what will prepare you to move on to this next phase, which we hope is going to be better and which also may not be normal. I want to say, listen to your body and prepare to rest both mentally and physically when this semester is over. We have all been in a period of extended high stress and have all experienced a certain amount of grief and loss. And I want to normalize the feelings that grief and loss may continue for the weeks and months ahead. This may look like a range of emotions for you, and it may simply just feel like exhaustion. And I'll finally say, I will invite you to practice some gratitude for those that have helped you along the way and continue to support you as you make the transitions ahead. We know that practicing gratitude increases feelings of happiness and positive emotions. We also know that it improves relationships at a time when we are all in such need of connection to others. Finally, from a practical standpoint, I want to say, reach out to someone if you are in need of support. The best thing you can do is talk to someone who can help you make a plan to address whatever it is you are experiencing. And this could be a counselor or a medical provider who can offer you some treatment. It can be an advisor in your dean's office who can help you address an academic situation, or it could simply be a peer or family member who can listen to what's going on and help you make some changes on your own. I will say the Center for Health and Wellbeing Services remain fully available to you for the remainder of the semester, and most of our clinical services will remain available for the duration of the summer, both at counseling and psychiatry services and at student health. And finally, as you're thinking about the end of the semester, if you already have a relationship with a provider, whether that's at CAPS or student health, think about what you may need over the summer and what your care plan is. Do you need to reconnect with this person before you go for the summer? Do you need medication refills? How can we help you with referrals for summer care? So don't hesitate to reach out. We are here right through the end of the semester. And from there, Erica, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, John Paul. All right, going to talk about fall. We are planning for an incredible fall. This summer, next slide, please. We will receive state guidelines and finalize our fall plans. I know how eager students are to get back into the classroom and labs and all sorts of fieldwork settings. And with the return to in-person learning, we're looking forward to a return of a lot of our traditions, convocation, week of welcome. I'm looking forward to the return of live music. It is going to be so good. And with an in-person semester on the horizon, we'll be returning to standard occupancy level in the residence halls, increasing capacity in classrooms. Campus will feel very, very different in the fall. A big change for students also will be the return to previous year's guest policies. This has been a hard part of the current academic year, not being able to hang out with friends in your rooms, friends who don't already live in your room. So I'm looking forward to that on behalf of every on-campus student. As we think about students returning, we're also thinking about our staff and faculty. Administrative services will be returning to in-person delivery on or about August 1st. That's when staff will be back and our faculty will return later in August. We have, as everyone has said, we've come through a time that is still difficult to comprehend fully. And it may not be quite right to think of it as a return to normal, but evolving toward a new normal. That will also present its own phases of transition and at different levels. So we think about the impact on us individually. We think about groups, community, society, and there's really just no doubt about it. Every student has been impacted by the pandemic. So I want to plant the seed for us all that our needs may look different next year. John Paul has spoken to self-care. Jay Dickinson spoke to cognitively rehearsing what the fall can look like for you and some of what your mid-range and long-range intentions and plans might look like. A few pieces. So we are thinking about community-wide transition and support. We're thinking about student well-being and student engagement next year. We're thinking about how we will support families through the fall transition. And I need to mention also, we're thinking about unique experiences for our rising sophomores, our current first-year students. We know that this incredible class last year saw milestone after milestone vanish in their senior year of high school. And as they arrived on campus. So we're planning some special things just for you. More to come on that. Next speaker, please.
So before we open it up for Q&A, I just want to take a few minutes and to speak to you all. This is our final presentation for the 2021 academic year. Many of you joined us last summer when we started ours, and you've been regular attendings of our Teams Live events for students and family members. We have a few sessions that we're planning for this summer as we prepare for fall, some specific for the class of 2025, some specific for those students that are returning to the campus in the fall. So stay tuned for that information. They'll be beginning in June. We could not have had such a successful year of in-person learning, virtual activities and events without you, our students, and your commitment to each other, to keeping each other safe, to celebrating and enjoying life at UVM in a new and different way, and for taking care of our community both on campus and off campus. You have been remarkable. We appreciate, and I appreciate, and want to acknowledge all the sacrifices that you made this past year. We know it has not been easy for you. You have risen to this challenge in ways that have been remarkable, and we have so much to be proud of. And I am extremely proud of you and what you have done and what you have demonstrated as Catamounts at the University of Vermont. To our Catamount families, thank you for your encouragement, your support, your patience, and your understanding. It has been very helpful to us as we sort through this. I've said many times that I wish I could go to the shelf and pull out the playbook on pandemics, but it's just not there. We appreciate the feedback you've given us, the advice, and the support. It has meant the world to all of us at UVM. I also want to thank you for what you've done for your students. You've been there to help them out, you've supported them, and you've shown them that they care. It has been heartwarming for me to see the wonderful acts of kindness that I've seen parents on the parent Facebook say, when somebody posts a need that can somebody help me out, I live across the country, and the responses come in faster than you can read them saying, we're here to help you. You have been amazing. Thank you. Rally Together is how we begin this fall. With students showing up in Burlington, their commitment to wear masks and learning how to be together demonstrated to everybody that UVM students are special, and you did it. You proved them. Now Rally Together is the motto that we hold as we plan to return to in-person operations in the fall, as we plan for commencement in a few weeks, and all those wonderful things we want to do together at UVM and in Burlington in the fall. And I know that rallying together with all of you, we can do it even better than we have today. You have been exceptional. From the bottom of our hearts, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for all that you have done. It has been an exceptional year at the University of Vermont. With that, what we'd like to do is open it up for questions, and we've got a lot of people here who can help answer some of the questions. So first question, I'm going to look to Jay and Michelle to help with this. What happens if a student gets sick just before exams?
I can start with our part. If we have a student that comes in and is sick or tests positive for COVID, we notify the student's dean's office, and their student services office of their college knows about the sickness and about how long they're going to be needing accommodations for or flexibility for attendance and studying or taking tests, things like that. And then the student works directly with the student services, the dean's office, to make arrangements.
Yeah, and I can pick it up from there. And the thing I want to remind everyone is that this does happen every single semester. Every semester, we have students who might get a case of the flu, or you know, maybe they have an accident and they're unable to complete their work just at that moment. You know, maybe they need to reschedule an exam. Maybe they need to take an incomplete and just push out the date of that final work a little bit. That is where our student services office comes in. They work with the student, they work with the faculty, and they develop a plan that meets the medical needs of that student and allows them to complete the semester. So don't worry about that. If that happens, we've got your back and we'll be ready to step in and help you make it through the end of the semester, whether that's right now or if you're going to need a little bit of time and we have to push it out a little bit, you'll still finish out those classes.
Good, thank you. A question was posted about why there are no vaccines on campus, and let me try to explain it. In the state of Vermont, the Vermont Department of Health has managed the control and distribution of vaccines across the state. Initially, they thought there might be some opportunities for key sites like colleges and universities to administer vaccines, but what they have done is build out an exceptional process for getting vaccines across the state. As of earlier this week, approximately 50% of Vermonters have had a first dose. There are a number of sites very close to campus where students can get vaccinated. We would have liked to have done that, but the state has stuck with the process of administering vaccines through either through the Vermont Department of Health sites or through things like the pharmacies site. And there's links on our website about where those sites are. So the question was posed about why Saturday hours were increased. We offered Saturday hours for testing when we first moved to twice weekly testing in early March. And what we saw over the time is Saturday hours testers just kept declining and declining and declining. And we just made a sense that the students were saying we're not going to come in. We began sending notices out last week to those people who are tested on Saturday that they could test again on Fridays in there. Let me see. So will rules be different for students who are fully vaccinated for COVID-19? Yes, I expect that when we return in the fall, that there will be different guidance for all students on campus. We're in the process of developing those. Right now, what we're doing is we're saying the guidance and requirements that we have in place right now are not going to change. Not enough of our students, particularly our undergraduate students, are what is considered fully vaccinated. That will come soon, and that will be a game changer for UVM and for Vermont. So I would say just stick with us. We expect that things like travel that if you're fully vaccinated, you do not have to quarantine now. If you're identified as a close contact, you do not need a quarantine. I think there'll be more and more benefits, and that's why I just want to put a really strong plug into getting vaccinated when you can, so that by the time you return in the fall, the entire campus is fully vaccinated. Question was put up about parents fully vaccinated, can they help with move out? I'm sorry, but at this time you can't. I think that we're trying to get that changed. We're hopeful that as the number of people vaccinated, both in-state and visiting, that will change, and we continue to advocate for that. That's a state requirement that visitors are not allowed in the residence halls. We would love to have it be very different because we know that it is a hassle. A question was posted about, can I get my first dose of the Pfizer Moderna in Vermont and the second one at home? Yes, the person can do both. Michelle, do you want to add any more about that?
I would just encourage people to get started and not wait. Don't put it off until you get home. If you can register on Monday or next week and get an appointment before you leave, please do that.
Jay, this is a question for you. When checking the registrar for the exam schedule, many are listed as check with the instructor or see lecture for time. When should students know their final exam schedules?
So if you have a class where the instructor requested a remote exam or a remote exam time slot, which means that your exam is being given remotely but during a specific time slot, or if your professor requested an in-person exam space, then most of those have been scheduled. There are still some very large spaces that may still be in the process of scheduling an exam, but if it says see the instructor should have posted information about your final exam as part of the syllabus. So I encourage you, if you have not received information about your final exam, and that is what is listed on the registrar's website, that you reach out to your instructor and you request information about where the final exam, time, date, nature of the exam. It may be a take-home exam, where you can find that information within your Blackboard site or on the syllabus.
Thank you. So a question was posted about UVM students not being able to get vaccinated at the UVM Medical Center. I don't believe, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the medical center is actually administering vaccines to the public. They may have done it for their own staff, but I'm not aware of them doing anything for the public. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm not aware of them doing anything for the general public. And also this question talks about how do state residents prove that they, staying in Vermont, prove that so they can get the vaccine next week. The process is online through the Department of Health website, and they ask you certain questions and have you attest and just verify who you are and where you live. So I don't know if there's much more verification beyond that.
Thank you. Now, while we're talking about vaccines, let me talk a little bit about our planning for fall in relationship to the vaccines. I know many of you have asked whether we're going to require it or not. University has not made a decision at this point, and I would say that there's two primary reasons why we have not. And I would say if you look as well across colleges and universities across the country, only about 30 of the colleges and universities have said that they're requiring vaccines at this point. Right now, the state of Vermont has indicated they do not intend to require vaccines for college and university students, but the university is seriously considering it. And the primary reasons why we've not made that decision right now, because we need to make sure first that there's an adequate supply of vaccines. So if we make that requirement, that our students are able to successfully get vaccinated. We're encouraged. Obviously, the situation with the Johnson & Johnson this week was a little troubling, but I think that by the time we get to the end of June and early part of July, we'll have a really good handle on whether there's adequate supply for our students to be able to meet that requirement if we do move forward with that. The second reason why we're not is both of the two vaccines, the Pfizer and Moderna, as well as the J&J, only have what's called emergency use authorization through the FDA. We don't feel that at this point that we feel comfortable making that requirement until it gets full approval from the FDA, which I think we all hope and know will come shortly with that. Erica, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the social plans we might be having for the class of 2024 that they missed out on?
Sure, I'd love to. We're in a planning phase right now, and so while I would hesitate to promise, I can tell you that, you know, when we think about some of the milestones that this group missed, we know that prom comes up over and over. We have, as many of you know, a huge, beautiful student center, and the idea has come up in many, many settings that offering something like a huge dance, possibly a couple of days to accommodate as many people as will want to participate, that would be something really lovely for the rising sophomores. As many of you know, we have planned to offer Trek to our rising sophomores. And we're thinking about other kinds of activities, excursions. For example, we have an incredible outing club. Trips fill up really quickly, but we're thinking about really going the extra mile for our rising sophomores, or they'll be, you know, next fall's sophomore class, and prioritizing their ability to take part in some of these events and activities, either specifically for the group or with I'll call it priority registration. We also are going to be speaking with student groups in the near future to learn from them what they think would really bring some levity and connection to the fall experience. Hope that answers a little bit of what you're wondering about.
So thank you very much. A question was raised about access to the residence halls to help with move out. I hear you, I understand. I'm going to be in a meeting on Monday where I will again advocate and push and strongly encourage that be adjusted. I would say please stay tuned. It's something that we're fighting for and believe that it's something that fully vaccinated parents should be able to help with move out. So be patient with us. We're going to keep pushing on that. Again, with regards to the offering the vaccines on campus, we have said that if the state wants to provide us with vaccines, we're prepared to do that. I know working with Michelle, she believes that we could do it, but the state has done a really good job. It's made it available effectively to Vermonters. And I think if you register tonight and wait to, I forget what time they open up first thing on Monday morning, but get in there and sign up in there. And, you know, there's a way too that you can sign up that if a location has excess vaccines at the end of the day, where you can be notified around 4 o'clock and you can go get those. So I think that there's a lot of options out there that you can at least begin them. And as Michelle said, even if you can't complete it before you have to leave, get it started, get it set up at home, and get vaccinated. You can hear me say that 100 times a night. Can't say that enough here too. And I want to thank the person who posted that nice note and all those people who signed on with that. And I'll read it and said, you know how much we appreciate all that you've done to keep UVM community safe. And I put this out to my colleagues that are helping me here tonight and the hundreds of others that have been doing it all year long. To keep the community safe, to plan for every possible contingency, and to keep things positive during such a challenging time. Thank you so very much. Thank you very much. It's your support that's helped make us through that. A question about move out. Will the rolling bin carts be available for move out in the residence halls? Eric, I don't know whether you know the answer to that or whether anybody in the chat can respond to that one.
Yes, I can. Common shared resources. We're still thinking about safety. And so at this time, the plan is not to provide those large carts, but rather to really encourage students to pack efficiently. Plastic totes are a great way to pack up your belongings and be able to transport them down and out to the waiting vehicle that you'll be packing up. Some buildings have elevators, others don't. In the event that you have something larger that you'll need help to move, I'd really encourage you to plan for that in advance. I know it's challenging, so make sure that you talk with your RA as a first point of contact about ideas and resources I know lots of students help each other move things that are a little unwieldy for one person. So just make a little plan in advance.
Good, thank you. I know people are starting to think about this, Erica, but if you could talk a little bit about what our thoughts are for Parents Weekend in the fall.
Oh, yes. I'm very excited about this. So Parents Weekend is, first of all, it's just a beautiful time of year, as many of you know. We also know that a lot of families are not able to travel to the area. And so the thinking that we're working with right now is that we'll have something like almost a choose your own adventure. We're going to have sessions during the fall to support the family transition and to offer information and education to families about what the fall semester and what the broader academic and social experiences are on campus. We are going to do a few in-person pieces that are part of our traditions at Family Weekend. We're also going to make available some suggestions for how to explore and enjoy both Burlington and the wider area. So stay tuned for that. It'll be coming to you sooner than we all think. This is still, I would say, early spring in Vermont. We won't be waiting until late summer to push this out. We'll have some fun ideas to help you make your plan for how you want to spend Family Weekend.
So thank you, Erica. A question posted, and I'm not sure I fully understand, so I will try to answer it. Will parents be able to pick up international students in Vermont? Yes, I don't see any reason why you would be prohibited that, and we be able to bring them back next semester. Yes, I don't have any reason to think why you shouldn't be able to pick up international student, return them in the fall. I would say if you have any specific questions about that, I would contact the Office of International Education. Why do you not offer the same praise of the students' efforts to be safe when you asked about students at the beach over the weekend? You've consistently thrown students under the bus whenever you talked about them in the media. I would have to say I disagree a little bit about that. I would say that I say our students have been very good and very compliant about what they have been doing. But 3,000 people on North Beach last weekend was a significant incident. There were multiple violations of alcohol and other drugs. There was damage to property and the place was trashed. I think that we have been very supportive and very encouraging in our communications, but that was a significant risk that students took last weekend, and it certainly did impact the Burlington community. There are a lot of people in Burlington that are very angry at what occurred and have expressed a lot of frustration to the university and university students about what they did up on North Beach last weekend. So I appreciate the concerns, and I'm going to respond to that in the chat there, but I think that event, and we hope it doesn't bear out to be what some have called a super spreader event, an impact commencement. But it was a pretty significantly disturbing event. So I don't see any more questions out there. Anybody from one of our panels that want to add anything about that? So I did see one that got posted. Why are current guidelines restrictions for fully vaccinated family parents wanting to visit campus? Or what are the current guidelines? So right now, and I appreciate that people want to visit campus, even if you're fully vaccinated. We're just saying for now, please, we're restricting visitors to campus. I know that we opened up specifically to allow for admissions visits and tours to occur. That's such an important part of the decision process about coming to UVM. I'm sure it was not long ago that many of you, and some of you just about a year ago, were in that same process. But we see this as a pretty important thing that students need to be and families need to be a part of. So we allowed that. And I appreciate that. And I hope that soon we can get back to allowing visitors, fully vaccinated or otherwise, back on our campus. Michelle, a question was posted. What happens if a student feels bad after getting their second shot and it's in time or the midst of exams?
The same process we would use for somebody who actually gets COVID or falls and gets a concussion or some other injury. We would notify the student's dean's office, and they would work with the student services office in their college. Good,
thank you. Erica, you talked about this a little bit earlier, but we want to talk about a TREC program that's being planned for the sophomore class of returning students.
Sure, absolutely. TREC, as some folks know, we have Wilderness TREC. So these are, excursions into mountains and forests, beautiful places. We also have service trek, which is exactly what it sounds like, where we have projects and activities and organizations that allow students to provide service to different sites. We're also planning a leadership trek, and I think this is going to be one that will be really probably most of interest to our incoming sophomores. Thinking about sort of, as you heard Jay Dickinson say earlier, thinking about where you are in your orientation to your goals, your academics, your stance in the world. Leadership Trek will provide an opportunity for smaller groups of students to engage in some intensive thinking and activity around developing that stance and some momentum around your own leadership identity. So I think that's a perfect experience, a perfect pre-semester experience for students who have completed a year of college and are really looking at not just a return to what we all have been longing for in terms of a campus experience, but kind of launching into a really active phase of planning and goal setting and achievement as sophomores.
So thank you. Somebody posted a question about prospective students and their families as they're visiting campus, going to places where they should not be. And we will visit with our admission staff and our enrollment management staff to beef up the messaging. We've been very clear, with the exception of the guided tours, that they cannot go in buildings. If people come to campus, we give them a process by which they can do a self-guided tour, which keeps them out of buildings. And we will go back and revisit that information that is being provided to our prospective students and their families as they're visiting campus. But we need to make sure that they're following it just like the rest of us are. Eric, a question about what about the candlelight ceremony? Will our sophomores be able to participate in that during convocation?
I was talking about that just earlier today. What we really want is for our traditions to return stronger than ever. All we need to do really over the next, as we firm up our intentions and create our plans for fall, we're down to logistics really. So I'm just going to keep saying about the fall experience. Stay tuned. We have a lot that we're working on, a lot that we're planning. And a lot that we know people really want to experience. So hang tight. We'll be in communication soon about the concrete details.
Another question came up about Parents Weekend and specific dates.
Ooh. I'm going to ask our team. I know it's October. It's generally early October. First weekend sounds right, but I don't want to make a promise.
Well, we'll get that information posted and shared out there, so people have it there. Jay, are there any offering any lenience for academic scholarships or recipients on final grades given the extreme stresses of this semester?
So my recommendation to any student who has concerns about their scholarship or their standing is to contact Student Financial Services, because all of, I can't make any statements about an individual student's situation, and they are the experts that will help the student understand where they stand right now. Certainly, I think they can also help students talk through what their best academic choices might be in terms of maintaining their scholarship. So that is my strong advice, is that you reach out to Student Financial Services and speak with them about your specific case.
So somebody posted in there about our efforts to recognize the class of 2024, and we're certainly taking to that heart, and we welcome the suggestions we've received. And as Erica pointed out, that group had a very tough year. Their senior year in high school was significantly disrupted. Their first year in college was nothing like they were thinking about and what they had been imagining for years to come. So we are really thinking about what's going to be for those people that are returning for their second year here. And as the question posted there, you're right, they are hurting. and they're desperately needed some TLC, and we're going to make sure we can do everything we can to throw our support behind them and make sure that they have a great second year. I think, the other day when I was on campus, it was fantastic to walk around and see, students hanging out around the fire pits on the Adirondack chairs and people hanging out in hammocks on parts of campus. So I think we want to make sure that next year is 10 times better than any given year at UVM as we go forward. I want to talk a little bit more about Parents Weekend. I think some of you, and I did get some information from our colleagues there, is that we don't have a typically set Parents Weekend, but what we're going to be doing is providing information on how you can make your own Parents Weekend, make it special. There's certain points around the midpoint of the semester, early part of October, where it may be a good time for you to come up and visit. That time of year in Vermont is pretty special. It's fall foliage, and it's a great time to get up to see people in Vermont. It also may be at that 4th, 5th week in the semester where a visit from your family may be just what students need to get out and have a good time. But we'll be posting more information about that. Jay, do you want to, somebody posted a question earlier today about a student possibly having a schedule that was entirely online for the fall.
So I suppose it might be possible. I do want to emphasize that when we look at the undergraduate courses, 94% of the courses across the entire university are scheduled to be in person in the fall, which means that the 6% of all of the courses offered in the fall would be offered either online or hybrid. So you can see that it's a quite small percentage of the overall courses that are offered online. So in most cases, a student would need to be actively seeking out those opportunities in order to build a schedule that was fully online. I think it's possible that some students might have an online class, but in fact, the vast majority of the opportunities that are available are planned to be in person, and that's true both for our larger classes and for our smaller seminar classes.
So Jay, a question came up and was posted about the respite day today that was not enforced, and that there were some faculty that may have had required attendance at labs a day. What about those students who really needed that break but didn't get it?
So I really encourage you to let your dean know that happened. Deans have been very clear with faculty that even labs should not be held on the respite days. Those were specifically planned to be a day for both faculty and students to be able to not have classes and to take some time for themselves, whether that was to catch up or to relax or to just enjoy some quiet time. So unfortunately, we can't undo what has already been done, but definitely let the dean know that occurred. And in terms of think about, well, I had the lab today. I was able to get that done, and now I can perhaps steal a little bit of time for myself during another part of the week where I would have been working on that instead. But definitely that was not what we intended, and that messaging was very clear out to faculty.
Thank you, Jay. Another question was posted about vaccines for out-of-state students, and again, it's something we have been advocating for, and I think it's important to know that it's just not out-of-state students. Any non-resident of Vermont is not eligible for vaccines until hopefully the 30th. So it wasn't just limited to students. And I again, with something we had pushed really hard to get changed, and at least initially was changed to the 30th of April being available for out-of-state students as well too. So somebody talked about, put a comment in there about the great leadership at the university. I have to tell you, working with hundreds and hundreds of faculty and staff on campus, they have been exceptional. But I have to tell you, the students have been amazing in all their leadership positions. I know groups like University Programming Board that pivoted their phenomenal in-person programs to many of them being virtual and new ways of delivering them. Our staff council that was doing it online virtual bingo game today. I mean, it's just been amazing to see the leadership across campus. And as the person posted there, proud to be a Catamount. I can tell you this last year, I've been really proud to be a Catamount because we've demonstrated some phenomenal things. Question about mandatory vaccines for faculty and staff. That's also being considered in the fall. We've not making any decision about that. When do students find out about financial aid for next year? Jay, are you able to answer that question?
I'm just doing some background checking because I don't know when continuing students would find out about their financial aid packages. So let me find that information and I'll put that into a reply to that question.
Good. Erica, there's some questions about move-in already. Like people are starting to think about that in the fall. So some questions about first-year move-in and orientation and what might that be like.
Sure. Well, I want to say first that we will be having we'll be having a very robust set of communications go out to incoming first-year students. So I don't want anyone to think that if they miss this session tonight that they're out of the loop. We will be looking at moving in our new first-year students in August on a Thursday, Friday. So it'll be over 2 days. And it'll be, as our classes are, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500 students. So it's a lot of people arriving and a lot of excitement, as many folks with us tonight know. Moving in is it's a singular experience, I think is one way to put it when you're a first-year student. So it's a 2-day move-in process. Orientation will take place immediately adjacent to that. Lots of activities and programming. Your learning community will be one of the focal points, one of the sort of things that we organize move-in and orientation around, so that you're moving in along with the people that you'll be living with, and you'll be experiencing some of that early excitement and connection alongside the folks who are in your learning community. What else can I say? Again, a return to the traditions that we had to put on pause over the course of this past year. Again, I'm just going to keep saying connection, a lot of connection, a lot of togetherness, meeting new people, making new friends, stepping outside your comfort zone, or if you are a born extrovert, really just living in your prime as campus ramps up and the semester, as you prepare to really get the semester underway. We have a huge, awesome, energetic group of orientation leaders, and there will be many early opportunities through tabling and talking with clubs and all of the organizations and other activities that are very present, front and center during orientation, so that students can immediately kind of plan their campus engagement right from the get-go at orientation.
Good. Thank you, Erica. Somebody posted a question about the class of 21, the group that's going to be graduating in about a month, and what are we planning special for them? And you're right, they have also had a challenging year. We've been working very hard on commencement, and we were so pleased to announce recently about in-person commencement, and even last week that there can be 2 fully vaccinated guests. And we announced the schedule of the 10 ceremonies over 2 days. But now what's been fun to be involved in over the last week, and it was in a couple of meetings a day, about what's so special that goes on this time of year, and it usually begins about the middle of April and runs right up to commencement, are a lot of individual departmental gatherings and celebrations that recognize students and their accomplishments. Things like the pinning ceremony in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, the commissioning for our ROTC program. We're working with them, and as we've said all along, we're not going to not do things, but we're going to need to figure out how we're going to do them and do them differently. And we've been working with those groups and departments and stuff to make sure that we can do those like we did in the past, maybe a little bit differently, but we're going to make sure that those recognitions happen. We've tried to build out a commencement. While it's not like the big ceremonies we're used to on the university green, and I've been to over 20 of them, but we're going to make it very special, and we're committed to making it a great day for you. So, question, Jay, do academic advisors ever reach out to students who are too timid to reach out to them?
Yes, absolutely. So in addition to regular communications to advisees, sort of reminding them about office hours or how to get in touch with them if they would like to arrange an appointment, If a student receives an academic alert in a course, their advisor is automatically CC'd on that alert, and the vast majority of advisors will reach out immediately to that student and ask if they can help the student understand how they're doing in the class, or talk them through contacting their professor about how they can improve their performance. So absolutely, I do know that that happens. I would also say, if you are the parent of a student who perhaps is a little more timid, keep in mind that these advising appointments right now are remote, and that many advisors will answer questions over email if the student is too nervous to contact the professor and have an in-person live appointment. So really help your student advocate for themselves and to reach out to that advisor. That person is assigned to help them and support them, and they absolutely should reach right back out and help the student over email or arrange an appointment with them.
We're going to do a last call for questions, but Jay, I've got 2 questions for you. Will study abroad be brought back? And teachers and TAs are just not showing up for multiple office hours. What are some other options for students to do? Okay,
so first of all, fingers crossed. We have not made a final decision yet about fall study abroad, and we have set a date for that decision in June. We are very much hoping that that we'll have a good idea of where we stand, and that we can make a decision regarding study abroad that will help our students have that experience that we value so highly. We do need to keep in mind that not all countries will be accepting students, incoming students for study abroad, but we're going to very carefully review the situation, take a look at the global situation in terms of vaccination, put health and safety first, and make a well-regarded decision. We are very, very hopeful at that, certainly for spring 2022, that we will be looking at allowing study abroad again. But as I said, we have not yet been able to make a final decision for fall 21. In terms of faculty and TA not showing up for office hours, a lot of things could be going on there that are technical as well. So the way that faculty have set up online office hours, it is possible that they're located in a different meeting room, or in other ways not aware that a student is waiting to meet with them. I strongly encourage that student to reach out and say, I tried to meet during your office hours. Is there another time that you are available? I really need to speak with you. And again, if multiple times that is failing, please encourage the student to reach out to the chair of that department. The chair is responsible for ensuring that faculty are meeting their obligation to hold and come to their office hours.
A question about fall activities. Do we anticipate basketball and hockey games being open to parents next year? Yes, we do. All indications are that the large event guidelines will allow us to go back to almost fully normal at the start of fall semester. So come watch the Catamounts compete and win. It's a great event. So I'm going to wrap up a little early tonight. We got through as many questions as I think were posted out here. Just to remind folks that you can contact UVM Strong. The testing center's website has that link on there. We'll do our best to answer questions. And again, thank you. You've welcomed us into your homes. You've welcomed us. You've come into our homes, and you've been a part of our lives over this last year as we've wrestled with COVID. And again, I want to thank you all for your partnership, your support. And we're going to get through this, and we're going to be successful, and we're going to be back in person in the fall. So thank you all. Have a great night, and look forward to seeing you all again soon.